President Trump signed an executive order yesterday for expanding employment benefits, rent payments, student loan deferment, and $400 bonuses. This tells you that the kind of condition this percentage of student loans are in forbearance. Everything is in some forbearance. 5.9% of the $1.34 trillion in auto loans, $80 billion. The lenders are exposing themselves to greater losses when they have to deal with delinquencies when the cars lose value. Loans grow as collateral declines. When banks repossess millions of cars in the future, they're not worth what people owe. Wells Fargo reported $44 billion of customer loans were in deferral. $35 billion of those loans are mortgages. 12% of the first mortgages are in forbearance. 10% of second mortgages are in forbearance. 7.8% of homes are in forbearance. Prepare for very dark times in the United States. If you have a $1,200 stimulus checks, don't put it towards Disney Channel or Netflix or lattes or video games or cartoons that put money away for savings. The price of food has gone up. This is going to be hard-hitting and drag out for so long that nobody will be 100% prepared for what is coming. Goldman Sachs says there's going to be a dollar collapse. Gold hits $2,000. Goldman Sachs says the clients will hang on to their gold. As the collapse worsens, the Federal Reserve prints more money. The more money is printed, the inflation builds. At the same time, the government racks up loads of debt. It will drive inflation in an uncontrollable upward spiral. As the dollar loses more value, inflation will climb even higher. The inflation rate is barely above zero at 0.6%. People who go to healthcare providers or grocery store know that the number isn't even that cheery. The money doesn't get into Americans' pockets. It is held up in banks and institutions to support their struggling balance sheets. MZM, which serves as an indicator of liquid money, has reached $4.3 trillion in 2000, but in March 2020 it reached $21 trillion, and in August 2020 it reached $25 trillion. The velocity of MZM has slowed to crawl at 0.9%. If trillions of money is spent, then the recovery won't happen. The economy activity can't return to pre-pandemic levels by the end of 2020 and beyond. Inflation will see a spike with higher interest rates as well. The currency plummeting value will increase the velocity of money. The Federal Reserve is able to push down interest rates artificially, thus breaking all the rules of supply and demand. Free market, elevated desire for credit should be an increased interest rates will force demand back down. The tactics of the Federal Reserve only works in the short term. Eventually, the artificial markets and prices will inflict serious damage to the financial systems that institutions are trying to preserve. Worst case scenario, the U.S. will be rapidly increasing deficits and debts. U.S. dollar will sink lower and lower in value as global fiat currencies will follow. The Federal Reserve will print even more money, unconcerned for the consequences, despite failing businesses and households facing financial insecurity, followed by increased payouts to Americans who lost their jobs or were furloughed. Eventually, the government will introduce universal basic income to support the public. Universal basic income. Americans won't have to work to receive income. Many won't attempt to rejoin the labor force. When too much money has been printed, the lower worth of the U.S. dollar, the Federal Reserve can't control the inflation and pull strings of interest rates. The long end of the bond market will sell off, and high long rates will drive short rates skyward. They have to pay for the debt interest as a percentage of GDP. The rates will be high as 20%. world will have to resort to more money printing. This will lead to defaults. Universal basic income will push more money printing until banks start failing rate. When the money printing turns into quadrillions and hyperinflation takes off, then the financial system will go into total collapse.